There has been a renewed investor interest in motels, with the once so-called sleepy asset class now in focus as questions grow around sector size, corporatisation, regional demand and the long-term outlook for motels as a potential institutional asset class. Deltine Capital CEO David Toomey joins me now. Great to have you with us, David.
Thank you very much for having me.
So why do you think there's been a resurgence of investor interest in motels?
Yes, it's easy. The yields are very high with the margin compression on a lot of other commercial property assets. The yields in motels are over 10%, purchase yields, passing yields that is. So it's a very attractive asset class from an income perspective. And you know, it's commercial property, it's prime real estate in these towns that they're in, so it's very attractive.
I always get confused between a hotel and a motel. Tell us where we're at with the motel, sector in Australia today.
Yeah, motels traditionally are motor inns, so somewhere you can drive up to, so it's used for travellers. These days it's an essential service provider to the regions. You know, there's a lot of professionals going to our regions to service the regions, whether they're doctors, engineers, mining professionals, salespeople, and they need somewhere to stay. So it's become really an essential service provider and a lifeblood for our regions who need a lot of these professionals coming in and staying there.
And I guess we sometimes think it's sort of run by a mum and dad, cottage type thing. Is that accurate, or what are we seeing more broadly?
Well, that's actually what the smokescreen's been, because half the market, there's about 3,600 motels in Australia, and half the market are small mum and dad, 5 to 20 room motels. And they can't be corporatised, they're small businesses, but there's another 1,800 hiding behind those that are 25 rooms and higher, and they're really at scale, at adequate scale. They can afford professional on-site management, and so they can be corporatised, and that's really the opportunity in this sector.
So aside from what people prefer to stay at, there has been a lot of institutional interest, investor interest in hotels. What are the differences between investing between a motel and a hotel?
Okay. Well, it's operational complexity. If you think about a big, flash motel in town, there's bars and restaurants. They average night stay is about 1.2 to 1.3, so the rooms turn over more often. There's a lot more cleaning, like concierge and services. Whereas in a motel, there's 25 or 30 rooms. Excuse me. The average stay is 3 to 4 nights or 2 to 3 nights. So there's less cleaning. There's no food and beverage, less ancillary services. So it's much less operational complexity. And therefore higher margins in motels. So it's quite attractive all around.
And we're hearing a lot about the corporatisation here of the motel industry. What does that mean in practice?
Well, in practice it means that there's scale that can be obtained, efficiencies of scale. We can do some centralisation of the services. So the on-site managers typically are owner-occupiers, and they haven't got the skills to do everything. They haven't got the skills to do digital marketing, distribution, pricing, revenue management, on-site operationals, procurement. So when it can be corporatised, you can centralise a lot of those services and actually make them much better, bring them into innovate them, bring them into the digitisation age, get a lot of that low-hanging fruit and a lot of the operational improvements, and therefore that really is what we do when we corporatise an asset, is centralise those services, improve the services, and that's what we say at the Deltine Motel Fund. We're bringing hotel standard, hotel quality to the regions.
You mentioned there, in terms of accommodation, the average stay in a motel is sort of 3 to 4 nights, which I imagine is leisure tourism. What about essential services travellers? How much of that are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean it does range obviously according to property, but the reason why the average length of stay is larger is because it is essential services, especially in the motels that we target. We target the 4-star larger motels, and therefore they're attractive to professionals, and therefore we're getting those longer night stay averages. The travellers still exist, the tourism still exists, but I guess that's a bit of a misnomer in the industry that it's all to do with tourism. Where we're seeing our properties are really 60% of the guests are actually professionals and people who are staying 2 to 3 nights, Monday to Friday.
What macro trends are kind of influencing the space, particularly when you look at, say, infrastructure spending?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a bit of a perfect storm in Australia at the moment for our regions, but also for the domestic travel. With the demand, we've got international tourism increasing, we've got domestic travel increasing, we've got a buoyant economy and a lot of infrastructure being spent in the regions, but also people moving to the regions to work as well, so bringing more activity. And then on the flip side, there's a reduction of supply because of construction costs. So you've got enhanced demand and limited supply, making a bit of a perfect storm for this asset class over the next 5 to 10 years.
What are some of the inefficiencies, do you think, in the sector?
Well, it really comes down to digitisation. We have distribution, pricing, and all these things now based on IT systems, and so therefore, when you can implement the latest IT systems, you can get that uplift in operational improvement, pricing, distribution, but also procurement. And just a lot of these places have been owned by the same operators for 5 or 10 years, or sometimes 20 or 30 years. So they're sort of stuck in a rut, stuck in their ways, and that's why we can come in and refresh things and just do things differently and improve and innovate.
So speaking of refresh, where do you see the sector in 5 to 10 years? Do you think it's going to become more of a mainstream investor class?
Well, I think so. It certainly has that potential. I mean, we've seen the roll up successfully in pubs, marinas, childcare, so there's no reason why this can't happen into the motel sector as well. All the fundamentals are there to support that.